Hello YouTube! I am here today to talk about my February wrap-up. I'm a little bit late on this one, but what can you do? So I actually read 9 books in February, which is awesome because I only read 4. I read 4 books in January, so I did a little step up this month, even though it's a shorter month, so I'm kind of proud of myself. But the first 2 books that I read were the first 2 books in the Georgia Nicolson series. This is a series of books that I was obsessed with in late middle school, early high school. They're about a snarky little British girl and all of the trouble she gets herself into. They're really fun and sort of like a comfort read for me, and I was really excited to go back and see if they hold up, and they totally do, because even if you don't totally relate to the things that Georgia's doing anymore because she's very much a 14-year-old girl, they still really encapsulate what it's like to be a 14-year-old girl. So I read the first one, Angus Thongs and Full Frontal Snogging, and then I read the second one, On the Bright Side, I'm Now the Girlfriend of a Sex God, which my roommate's reading right now, and so I don't have it here. The next book I read was Cinder by Marissa Meyer. I actually listened to the audiobook for this one. I didn't actually read the physical book, but I have the book, so I figured I'd show it to you. I liked it. I'm struggling a little bit with the Lunar Chronicles. I know people love these books. People talk about them all the time. They're on every booktuber's shelf, and I am working my way through them. I thought that this book was good. I gave it, I think, like a 3.5 out of 5 on Goodreads. So each of the books in the series is sort of based on a fairy tale. This one is obviously Cinderella. I thought that it was an interesting choice because, like, I couldn't really be surprised by anything, you know? I'm having similar issues with the later books, but I do like the world and I'm interested to know what's gonna happen, and so I kept reading it, but I wanted to say that I've read the Lunar Chronicles, and so I embarked on this journey. The next book I read was The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. So the premise of this book is that this circus comes to town and you go to it at night and you don't know when it's gonna come and you don't know when it's gonna leave, and it's sort of this magical, beautiful experience. And that's really all you should know about the book going into it. It started a little bit slowly for me because the book doesn't have like a super strong plot, not in a bad way, that's just sort of the function of the book. It's so much more about the descriptions and the characters and the feelings and the moods and all of that. And so once you do get into this book, it's so gripping and you can't put it down, and it's just gorgeous and it's stuck in my head so much. And I loved it and I can't recommend it enough, and I definitely foresee myself rereading this book a lot in the future because it was just beautifully done, and like definitely made it onto my top 10 list of books of all time. Then I read Scarlet. I don't actually own a physical copy of this book, I just have the audiobook. I really did not like Scarlet. Like, the book itself was like okay. I gave that, I think, a 2.5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads, but I hated Scarlet as a character. I was not interested in her relationship with Wolf. I also blame this a little bit on the audiobook because the narrator chose to give Scarlet this terrible French accent that does not sound like a French accent. And so I sort of dreaded every time she spoke because I was like, dear God, don't talk anymore. But I just found her tiresome and boring, and I found her to be so selfish. She only cared about herself and her own issues, and she did not care who she hurt in the process of solving her own issues. But she had the gall to lecture other people for not being selfless about things that they should. Oh, I just found her to be so unlikable, and it really made it difficult for me to get through Scarlet. Although I really did like Cinder's part of that book, and I love her relationship with Thorn, and I love Thorn as a character, and it was just enough to get me to go on to pick up Cress. But I'm struggling, guys. I'm struggling through this series. After that, I needed a little bit of a break from longer novels, so I picked up A Wrinkle in Time, the graphic novel, adapted and illustrated by Hope Larson. I've wanted to read this book for a really long time. It looked really fun. The art is really cute and everything, and I liked it. I realized that A Wrinkle in Time is a very strange book, and I did not remember that, having like grown up and had some distance from it. It's really weird, and I think it actually really helped to have a visualization of some of the strange concepts in this book. If I could do it over, I would love to reread A Wrinkle in Time to be more familiar with the plot and then read this, because this is like such a great companion visualization that doesn't steal your own images of what's going on, but just helps you understand them better, because there's some like kind of deeper scientific and mathematical themes going on in this book. And so I really liked it. I thought it was a good choice for a graphic novel. Much weirder story than I remembered it being, but definitely a great read to pick up. Then I read another graphic novel. I read In Real Life by Cory Doctorow and Jen Wang. I have been just drooling over this book for a long time because the cover is gorgeous, and I really love books that, whatever, media, anime, anything that sort of has the premise of like, you go inside the video game. I know it's kind of overdone, but I love it anyway. This was not like I expected it to be. It's about a girl who starts gaming in this sort of MMORPG that looks amazing, and I wish it existed in real life because the characters that you can play as look so cool. So she meets this guy in the game who's a gold farmer over in China, and it goes pretty deep into sort of like social issues around gold farming, which is really not where I expected this graphic novel to go, but it's really cool and touching and poignant, and for like such a kick-ass cover, I just really didn't expect that out of this book, and so I was really pleasantly surprised with where this went. Then I took a detour and I read The Darkest Part of the Forest by Holly Black. This was not a book that I had planned on reading anytime soon. I actually don't own this book. This is a book that a girl in my writing workshop group lent to me, and I figured, hey, why not be a good book borrower and read it right away? And so I picked it up, I read it in like 4 days, and had a great time reading it. If you follow me on Goodreads, you know that this was a book that I just like, what? I don't know, I don't read a lot of fairy books. I don't know a lot about fairy lore, even though I really liked like Amy Brown art and stuff as a kid, but this book went places that I did not expect it to go. There were all these like weird sexual undertones, and it went like really dark and visceral in some places, which I really appreciated. There were some horrifying descriptions of things going on in an otherwise sort of high school-y book, and it was crazy. It was crazy. Holly Black does this to me a lot. I don't really read a lot of genre fiction, and I pick up her books and I'm like, oh, this looks good. Crap, it's about vampires. Crap, it's about fairies. And then I end up having a really good time. And so thank you, Holly Black, for encouraging me to try new things and usually leading me along a fun journey. So this was a fun book. I liked it. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. The last book that I read this month was Off to Be the Wizard by Scott Meyer. I had been recommended this book quite a bit just through like online algorithms on Goodreads and Amazon and stuff because I read Ready Player One. It's an adult fantasy book about this American hacker who finds this document, and this document online allows him to alter things in the world, and he gets in trouble and decides to go back to medieval England to be a wizard, and it's so fun. It's written really sarcastically, and it's really funny, and the thing that I loved the most about this book is how wonderful the audiobook narration is. I've had some issues with some narrators when I've been listening to audiobooks, and this book really turned that around for me. The narrator does an amazing job. I love the choices he makes in his acting with this book. I love the voices that he gives to all the characters. It was just fun. Every second of the book I enjoyed. It made my commute so much better, and I really highly recommend it. If you love sort of dry, sarcastic science fiction fantasy, it was really fun. Also, there's 2 more books in the series that I'm excited to listen to. So that's it. Those are the 9 books that I read. I've finished 13 of the 50 challenges for the Pop Sugar Reading Challenge. If you want to see how I'm doing on that, you can check out the link below. And I guess I'll do a little bit of a TBR for March. I don't really know what I'm gonna read this month. I'm sort of all over the place right now with what I'm into. I'm currently reading the 3rd Georgia Nicolson book, Knocked Out by My Nunga Nungas. I want to get through this whole series this year because I realized I never actually finished it. I think I read the first 6 or so books, and I think there are 10. And so I'm working my way through this series. I'm also reading Magonia by Maria Devana Headley. This is a book that does not come out until April, but a friend of mine actually knows the author, and so he lent me his copy of his ARC. And so far it's pretty good, but I'm really not very far into it. I'm like 12 pages or something. And the restricted section book club book of the month is Since You've Been Gone by Morgan Matson. I wanted to read like a fun summer read, and this is the one that you guys voted on, and so I'm excited to read this. I've heard really good things about it. So if you want to read this with us, go check out the restricted section book club, which I'll link below. Other than that, I don't know. I want to read the next book in the Winter's trilogy because I really love The Winter's Curse, and the second one came out a couple days ago. Cannot wait to read it. I haven't purchased it yet, but I'll be doing that soon. Other than that, I guess follow me on Goodreads if you want to know what's going on in my book life, and thank you for watching. Let me know if you've read any of these books down in the comments below, what you're reading right now, what books have been amazing, what your favorite audiobooks are. Just let me know stuff down in the comments, and I will see you next time. Bye!